A long time ago, in the heart of a small African village, there lived a woman named Ogechi. She was known throughout the village for her beauty. She has bright, smooth skin and eyes that spark like the morning sun. Her laughter was infectious. She had a way of making everyone feel at ease. She was married to Amadi, a hardworking farmer who was well respected in the village. They had two beautiful daughters, Amara and Chichi. Amadi worked very hard to make sure that his family were happy and had everything they needed to be comfortable. Despite all his hard work, his dear wife was always restless. She had everything a woman could think of, except for something very important. That one thing that every woman craves for: her husband's attention. Amadi was a good man, but he was always away, working in the field from dawn till dusk to provide for the family. His dedication was admirable, but it left his wife feeling lonely and neglected. Amadi was too busy thinking about the comfort of his family to notice what his dear wife was going through. As the days turned into months, Ogechi began to feel the emptiness created by her husband with the company of other men. She sought comfort and excitement with any man that gives her attention. At first, it was just harmless flirting, an exchange of smiles at the market, and glances at the river where women washed clothes and fetched water. But soon, her desires grew bigger. She began to have romantic affairs with other men. She does it consistently without thinking about the consequences of her actions. The village was so small that whatever you do, thinking that no one knows about it, seems to travel quickly all over the village. The men, carried away by Ogechi's beauty and attention, kept enjoying every moment with her, forgetting that she belongs to another. But the noble women of her community began to notice the changes in Ogechi, the way she carried herself with newfound confidence, and the way the men looked at her with eyes full of admiration and desires. Rumors began to spread like dust in the dry season. Some gossip out of jealousy and others out of genuine concern. But no one dared to speak to Ogechi directly or confront her husband Amadi, for the fear of causing problems between the couple and their peaceful village. Amadi pretended not to be aware of what was going on, even though he kept hearing rumors about his wife and her shameless act. He was too consumed by his work and his duty to his family. He trusted Ogechi completely, believing her to be the loyal wife he had always known. But as time went on, he started noticing some changes whenever he was around to spend some time with them. Her sudden need to bath after he returned, and her unusual absence from home. He tried so hard to ignore all the negative thoughts building up in his mind. One day, while working on his farm, Amadi overheard a conversation between two of his close friends. They talked about a woman who had been seen sneaking around with different men, although they did not mention Ogechi's name. But his heart began to pound with an uneasy suspicion. Could they be speaking of his Ogechi? He tried to dismiss the thought, but it was becoming too obvious. He needed to clear his doubt. Determined to find out the truth, Amadi began to pay closer attention to Ogechi's movements. He noticed that she often left the house under the guise of fetching water or visiting a sick friend, only to return hours later with a strange distant look in her eyes. One night, Amadi decided to follow her. He waited until she left the house, and then he followed her quietly. his heart pounding with anger. He watched as his wife met another man at the boundary between their village and the neighboring communities. She stood there with another man under the tree. He saw them hugging each other, their figures joined together in moonlight. His worst fears was confirmed, and a wave of anger and betrayal filled him up. He felt like his entire world has crumbled right in front of him. The woman he loved has betrayed him. He left without saying a word. The next day, Amadi confronted Ogechi. He demanded to know the truth, his voice filled with a mixture of pain and anger. Ogechi tried to deny it, but the look on Amadi's face was so terrifying that she broke down and started confessing to her infidelity, pleading with him for forgiveness. She spoke of her loneliness and her longing for something more. Amadi's heart was already hardened. He could not hear her words. He was extremely angry that he started shouting and walking up and down, venting his anger on the walls of his living room. He refused to hear Ogechi's reasons for her actions. Unable to contain his rage, Amadi rushed out of the house and went straight to the village elders. In their village, matters like this were not taken lightly. Infidelity was seen as a grave sin, an act that not only brought shame upon a family, but also disrupted the harmony of the entire village. The elders listened carefully to Amadi's complaints and decided to call for a gathering in the village square to address the issue. The entire village assembled that afternoon. The air was filled with tension and anticipation. Ogechi stood in the center, her head bowed, as the elders narrate the accusations leveled against her by her husband. Amadi stood one side, his face covered with pain and anger. The men whom Ogechi had been with remained silent, hiding their faces at the back of the crowd, avoiding her gaze. The women whisper among themselves, some in sympathy and others in condemnation. The chief elder, a wise man named Mazi Okocha, spoke with a heavy heart. "Ogechi," he said, "you have brought shame upon your husband, your family, and this village. You have broken the sacred trust of marriage and have caused great pain to those who love you. Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Ogechi raised her head, her eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry," she said softly. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I was foolish and lonely. I let my desires blind me to what was right. I beg for mercy, not for my sake, but for the sake of my children." But the villagers were not ready to show even a little bit of mercy to a woman who has brought shame not just to her husband, but the entire village. They insisted that the laws of their village must be followed. And so, the elders decided that Ogechi's actions could not go unpunished. They decreed that she should be stoned to death, a punishment reserved for the most serious of crimes. The villagers, even those who had once admired her, gathered stones with heavy hearts. Some believed the punishment was just, while others felt sorry for the fate that awaited her. Ogechi was taken to a clear field outside the village, where she was tied to a tree. Her children watched from a distance, held back by the other women, their faces filled with tears. Amadi stood among the crowd, his face a mixture of grief and determination. He could not bring himself to pick up a stone, but he also could not intervene. He had loved Ogechi deeply, but the betrayal left a deeper cut. One by one, the villagers cast their stones. Ogechi cried bitterly while begging for mercy, but no one stopped. They continued until she lay still, her body broken and her spirit gone. As the last stone fell, a heavy silence descended upon the village. The punishment was complete, but the village never remained the same. Amadi returned to his children, his heart heavy with grief. He knew that he has lost more than just a wife. He has lost a part of him that he would never regain. The village elders offered their condolences, but no words could heal the wound left by Ogechi's death. Days later, the village continued with life as usual, but the memory of Ogechi moved around like a shadow over the village. Some spoke of her with scorn, others with pity, but all knew that her story would be told for generations. A tale of love, betrayal, and the harsh consequences of breaking the bonds that hold a community together. And so, Ogechi's story became a part of the village history, a cautionary tale for the young women and a reminder of the fragile line between desire and duty. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of the story of Ogechi. Please leave a comment and tell us what you think about the story. And don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos. Also turn on the bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you. See you guys in my next video. Bye for now.